A motorcycle stunt show with a movie wrapped around it? Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1978 to look at a movie that was a quick follow-up to the immortal Death Race 2000. We are talking about Deathsport. But before we go any further, before we dive into this gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
You are condemned to Deathsport. In the year 3000, all freedoms are crime. There is just one penalty. Deathsport. David Carradine and Claudia Jennings are super warriors.
I am my only master.
Lovers, imprisoned and separated with only one chance for survival. Fight me. I'll see you both in hell. It's a future war on wheels, born to strike high-powered death machines with blasters and laser guns. I can survive your Deathsport. There are no Olympic Games, World Series, or Super Bowls. There is only Deathsport. David Carradine conquers the Deathsport.
Okay, now this motion picture had two directors. You had Niciphor, who basically was there to film some of the movie, and Allan, who was there to save and film the rest of the movie. Let me explain. Niciphor had really never done anything before, and this was his first motion picture, and really was having a hard time. He was on the flick, he was off the flick, him and Carradine were getting into major fights. Actually, he said Carradine broke his nose at one point during an attack. I say no more. So he really directed most of the scenes that are just like people talking, the dialogue, blah, 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 blah. But then they had to bring in somebody to save this flick because this guy apparently, I don't know, so what they're saying, had a problem with doing action scenes and all that. In came Allan. Now he's going on to do other movies. I mean, he did Heart Beeps, he did Rock and Roll High School and Hollywood Boulevard, and he has a massive, 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 massive amount of TV credits and music videos to his name, and also Caddyshack too. So he was out there, he was on the scene. So in reality, you have a motion picture where half was directed by one guy, maybe a little bit more than half, doing basically the dialogue and all that kind of stuff, and another guy who did all the action. Take it for what it is. Alright everybody, we're going to try to go through the cast as quick as possible because there's a lot of people. We want to go through all of them, and we want to keep this video moving along at a halfway decent pace. So let's get rolling. Of course, you got the almighty David Carradine, who is in things like Death Race 2000, Lone Wolf McQuade, Bound for Glory, Kill Bill Volume 2, The Long Riders, Circle of Iron, Grey Lady Down, Cannonball, Boxcar Bertha, Q the Winged Serpent. Of course, he was Kwai Chang Caine in Kung Fu. Then you got Claudia Jennings, Gator Bait, The Unholy Rollers, The Single Girl, Sisters of Death, Truck Stop Women, The Great Texas Dynamite Chase, which I've already done, Moonshine County Express, The Stepmother, The Love Machine. You got Richard Lynch, come on, Royalty, Sword and the Sorcerer, 7-Ups, Happy Hooker, God Told Me To, Stunts, Savage Dawn, Invasion USA, Aftershock, Puppet Master 3, Cyborg 3, and literally every TV show ever created. You got William Smithers, he's been in lots of TV, Executive Suite, Barnaby Jones, Quincy, Dallas, Ironside, Mod Squad, the FBI, The Invaders, Mission Impossible, Peyton Place. You got David McLean, again, tons of TV work. Days of Our Lives, Laramie, Lancer, Bonanza, Streets of San Francisco, Death Valley Days, but he was also in the Andromeda Strain and King of the Spiders. You know I love King of the Spiders. It's just the way it is. You got the one and only Jesse Vint from Bug and Earthquake and Macon County Line and Silent Running and Icon in Peace. You got Will Walker, come on, Hardcore, The Driver, White Buffalo. You got J.B. Haggerty, the one and only Mickey and Maude, Foxy Brown. So you have a massive cast in this thing of people you're probably going to recognize, maybe more than others. Some yes, some no. But it doesn't matter. They're all in here. Let's keep it rolling. Okay, everybody, I'm going to try this in 90 seconds or less. You know I'm not going to make it, but it doesn't make a difference. So we keep this short, keep it fast, keep it moving. whatever. And so we can get to the place where, we do the summation. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, this motion starts out with some narration. It basically tells you the gist of what's going on, whatever. That there was a major war, whatever. Now all the cities are divided, whatever. And there's these super duper Jedi-like guides that take people from point A city to point B city, whatever. That's the setup. Next thing you know, you got one David Carradine. He's rolling along on his horse, mind his own business. But then Richard Lynch says, "Ha, we must capture this guy. We must capture all the guides, whatever." And they launch an attack on him. A big fight breaks out. Carradine kills a bunch of people, but in the end, they get him. Well, next thing you know, Richard Lynch is talking to El Presidente, Lord Zirpola, or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know. And he says, "I want a woman for the blood sport. I need a woman for the blood sport." The blood sport is this thing. They don't condemn nobody to death. They just have this big thing to entertain the masses, and they show off their war machines so they can justify using their war machines against other cities and future attacks. Anyway, blood sport is you take people, you throw them into a big arena, and you make them fight, and whoever lives gets to walk away. Whoever dies, it doesn't matter, but it's all a proposition and all big commercial for the war machine that these cities have against each other. Okay, there we go. So anyway, they go out there. They launch another attack on Claudia Jennings and her people. Oh my God. And yes, they capture her, and this little girl gets snatched up by the mutants, which live in caves, and she disappears, but that's a subject for another day. Next thing you know, you got Claudia Jennings in jail. You've got David Carradine in jail, and you realize that these two guys are going to start talking to each other back and forth between their cells, saying, "We shall form an alliance. We will, escape from this shithole. Take it as it goes." Anyway, as she's talking to him, she says, "Oh my God, this is how your mother died, because your mother was the greatest guide warrior of all time." And he's like, "Oh my God, now I know how my mother died." Blah, 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 blah. It is what it is. In the middle of all this, Lord Zirpola finds out from the local doctor that, oh my God, he's got this brain rot disease. He's falling apart. He's becoming mentally unstable. He's going to die. And the doctor says, "You got to tell people." And he says, "Go fuck yourself." And he literally takes the doctor and sentences him to Deathsport. Well, a few minutes later, you see they're going in there to round up everybody, and one of the guards happens to be one of the people that Claudia Jennings was taken from one city to another, which happens to be that doctor's son, who was literally trying to escape from the city of craziness and get to the city of more easygoingness. I don't know. He's in there to rescue his dad. So he goes in there, he tries to rescue his dad, he tries to rescue Claudia Jennings. They're all about to escape, and then Richard Lynch launches a gas attack and gasses them all, and now they are all unconscious. It is what it is. A few minutes later, you see David Carradine. He's being whipped and tortured by the evil guards. Richard Lynch stops in and says, "Hey, what's up, punk ass?" And that's when you find out Richard Lynch kind of used to be like one of them, but his idea of uber freedom was that he has freedom by becoming corrupt and working for the man. And the guides, who value nothing more than freedom, despise him because their idea is they work for nobody, they work for themselves, they're just free, they're free people, blah, 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 blah. They each have their own version of freedom. It gets complicated as it is. But anyway, they whip the living shit out of David Carradine. And for some reason, they take Claudia Jennings and they throw her in a room full of glass wind chimes, butt naked, and they're zapping her, just to torture her. So they can weaken them up before the next stage. Before you know it, they throw David Carradine into the cell with her, and she uses her force powers to heal the wounds in his back. Don't ask me, I don't know where this came from. It is what it is. So now, right before the combat begins, again, they say we got to torture them again. And they put them in this little chamber, and they're jolting them with electricity, and Claudia's boobs are banging all over the place, and David Carradine's screaming like a lunatic, and it is what it is. Next thing you know, oh my God, they are in the Deathsport. They are fighting. And somehow, Claudia Jennings, David Carradine, the doctor, and his kid escape. Holy shit, the leader is pissed. He's embarrassed. But he starts yelling at Richard Lynch about this. Well, Richard Lynch says, "Fuck this noise." And he turns on the leader and basically says, "You're a dying old man. Don't ever speak to me that way again. I will wreck your shit. Shut the fuck up. I'm hitting the road. I'm going to bring these people back." I guess to recover from this, the leader brings in another naked girl and puts her in the chamber of hanging wind chimes and starts electrocuting her. But then she grabs the Lord Zirpola, and pulls him in there, and he dies. What do you do? Anyway, next thing you know, Richard Lynch and his boys find out about this. They're like, "Hey, the leader's dead. We can all go back. We got control of everything. It doesn't matter." And Richard Lynch says, No, bro. We are going to continue. We are going to continue because I want that dude and I want him dead. One of his boys says, "Oh, come on, that's stupid." So Richard Lynch kills him. Everybody else says, "Well, I guess, yeah, we ain't going to muster up that much of an argument anymore, and they continue about their way. In there you have another giant motorcycle fight with weapons and rockets and lasers. This is one fight after another fight after another fight. That's how the movie goes. Just roll with it. They escape from there. They go to this underground city bunker. I don't know what the fuck it is. You know, Carradine has the big with Claudia Jennings. That's the next thing. Then they go out, and there's another chase. There's some more wild shit that takes place. And they go into the caves to rescue this little girl who happened to be in the original pack of people that Claudia Jennings was leading through, because it was her, and there was another warrior woman, and a baby warrior girl. Well, the mutants took the baby warrior girl. I can't remember if I explained this earlier. I just don't care no more. And she and David Carradine go back in there to get the little warrior baby. And they do. They do. The doc's son, the two of them, rescue the warrior baby. The doctor's dead now. It doesn't matter. He's out of the picture. The movie continues. And then you have nothing but final duels and motorcycle chases and more chases and explosions, incredible amounts of explosions, incredible amount of motorcycle chases, and fight, to where it ends up in the ultimate duel of the fates, if you will. Notice what I did there. Between the one and only David Carradine and the Richard Lynch, and they're on a hill where everybody back in the new city of happiness is watching them from afar, had this final battle duel up on this hill, which is strangely noble because, you know, Richard Lynch said, all is lost, the war is over, we've been defeated, but I have to go out there and fight him on the battlefield and do this because it is my destiny. So they actually have a somewhat honorable, real duel between these two characters who settle it in an honest way. You know, it is what it is. Okay, everybody. Does this motion picture work? Does the once an immortal Deathsport work? As a motion picture, no, not really. I mean, it's not logical. The sense of it is really kind of shitty. There's plot holes left and right and galore. But it gives you what a movie like this is supposed to give you. Does it do it as well as Death Race 2000? Not even close. Does it have the charm? Not even close. But does it still deliver and give you all the things you want from a motion picture like this? Yes, it does. But before we get into why, let's get the big three out of the way. The directing, as I said, it's a shit show. You had two directors, one directing some of it, the other one directing the other of it. It is what it is. Yes, on occasion you might get a halfway decent shot because, you know, they're out in the desert and it ain't that hard to get a halfway decent shot when you're shooting a picture of a fucking mountain or the side of a building. Yes. And are the action scenes okay? Yes. But is it directing anything special? No. You're not going to really look at it and think about it and say, oh my God, this is amazing. This is clearly two pieces of work going on, mashed together. It is what it is. It's nothing special to look at. Don't look at it that way. The writing, for the love of God, do you care? This is one of those motion pictures where the writing means almost nothing. This motion picture is like 90% action with little teeny scenes thrown in between. Fighting, talking, action, talking, titties, action. It's that kind of a motion picture. Yes, they try to hokey it up, and they try to make you believe in the mysticism of these guys, like they're all Jedi Knights and all this other kind of stuff. But none of that holds true because they don't even live with the old fucking code that they go by. So, it is what it is. The writing is what it is. You don't really care. You don't need it. This movie could have been silent for all intents and purposes. And the acting, well, Lynch and Carradine, well, let me put it this way. Lynch tries. Lynch really goes to bat through this whole motion picture. He's on point and he's delivering the whole motion picture. There's never a moment where he lets up. Carradine, there's parts where he's really into it and he's almost over the top and you're like, what the hell is he? And then there's parts where it looks like he's just phoning it in and half laughing his way through this. And I swear to God, like ad-libbing a couple of things and kind of chuckling. So he's in, he's out. Lynch is always there. Claudia Jennings, let's face it, she was spaced out of her mind. Everybody knows this production was wrought with alcohol and fucking cocaine. It's just the way it goes. This motion picture had a lot of problems with the staff. And they were all partying and all partaking. So, there's points you look at her and you're like, that woman completely is glazed over right now. She's barely It is what it is. Everybody else, you know, they try. They're in, they're out, they're delivering as well as they can, but, you know, when you're working with dialogue like this, it is what it is. So, as far as the acting goes, for a motion picture like this, it's by far good enough. Lynch, solid. Carradine, in and out. Jennings, she's just doing what she does. And the rest of the cast holds it up. Some of the support people, some of the one-liners, some of the people that are just in there to deliver a sentence, forget it. Now, again, when I tell you to go see this motion picture, and it's all over YouTube, you can watch it for free, it's not hard to find. I'm doing it because of one reason. It delivers in the realm it's supposed to deliver in. This is an action exploitation flick. This is drive-in cannon fodder. This is grindhouse theater. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Product. You know what I mean? That's the world that this lives in. And it delivers in that realm. Famously, you know, Roger Corman, when they were making this, said, this movie is going to be shit. We got to liven it up. So they went in, they did some reshoots, they threw in more of this kind of thing. They did all that kind of stuff. He warned Carradine not even to be in this motion picture. That's according to Carradine himself. He said, Roger told me don't do this. This movie's going to tank. And he didn't listen. And he was in it. And, well, there you go. But, for what it is, and what you're going to it for, you get it. This motion picture is loaded with action. Loaded with action. It's all motorcycle chase, motorcycle chase, motorcycle chase, motorcycle stunt, motorcycle stunt, motorcycle stunt, motorcycle chase, sword fight, sword fight, sword fight, motorcycle chase, boobs, boobs, naked chick, boobs, motorcycle chase, sword fight. And in between there's a little teeny bit of dialogue. And really, when you go into a motion picture like this, that's what you expect. That's what you're thinking you're going to get. And that's what, in a way, you kind of want. It is what it is. It doesn't try to sit there and be, you know, Lord of the Rings or something like that. Yes, they put in some pretentious hokey fucking talk every now and so often. Take that for what it's worth. But at its heart, it's an exploitation movie. And it sticks to being an exploitation movie. Does it do it as well as Death Race 2000 with the intentional camp and the, like, you know, societal jabs and all that kind of stuff that was baked into the cake? No. This movie tries to take itself a little bit too seriously at times and pretentiously at times. We'll get to some differences in there in a second. But for all intents and purposes, you get what you get. You got what you're getting. You know what you wanted. They give you what you wanted. And basically, it makes it enjoyable. Now, there are negatives. There's negatives all over this motion picture. I already explained to you that the directing is just good enough. It's just good enough to get you through. Literally. Literally, some of the matte paintings in this look like 6-year-olds did it in a 5th grade class or whatever, however you are old in the 5th grade, I don't know. And they just threw them in there to make these arenas look bigger and the cities look over the hills. And I mean, the matte paintings look like dog shit. I mean, they truly, truly do. And you can see that this motion picture was cobbled together with anything. Anything. The laser guns, they look like studio lights. Take it for what it's worth. The helmets look like they just ran down to some local Harley shop, grabbed whatever Evel Knievel helmet they had, painted it gold, and did what they did. The swords, these mystical whistlers that they use, which is just basically some polycarbonate fucking whatever they are. Everything looks amazingly cheap. And I don't know why everybody had a fascination with dressing people in that kind of aluminum foil silver coat shit that, like, you know, Burt Reynolds is, you know, was big in for in bandit movies. I don't know, but every movie that was futuristic loved to have those kind of outfits in it. And this one is no exception. On top of that, there are parts of this motion picture where it clearly goes out of focus. Like whoever was pulling focus on the camera just said, I don't know, man, I'm wasted. I can't do this or I can't do that. So I'm just going to be kind of in focus. And then they come into... There was a lot of weird shit going on with this motion picture. Anyway, another oddity is that at some point, this motion picture in the third act for about 20 minutes starts to develop a sense of humor. This motion picture had no sense of humor all the way through it. It didn't. Not at all. It took itself very seriously. And then all of a sudden, in the third act, the beginning of the third act, it starts to get humor. Carradine starts saying funny lines. They start doing shit that's out of character. They start making little gasps. Oh, I had to practice my aim because he shot a rat. And you're like, what the fuck? Where did that tone change come from? I mean, are they just sick of making this movie so they're all starting to have a good time? I don't know. But there was definitely a shift that lasted for like 10, 15 minutes and then went back to being serious again. Why? I can't tell you. I don't know. But it's there, and you'll notice it. And of course, the final problem is there's no logic to this motion picture at all. At all. The guys are supposed to be like, Jedi Knights. They're all independent, but, they all fall in love and whatever they're doing. Take that. The Lord Zirpola, who runs the evil city, sits there and screams about every time they waste a motorcycle, yet he keeps sending guys out and having dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of motorcycles wasted every time they try to bring this one idiot in just so he can fight in the arena. None of it makes any sense. There's no logic. There's no real thought out plan with this motion picture. But, like I said, you don't give a shit. You don't care. Because literally, it is literally just motorcycles, boobs, swords, and some hokey sets. And let me say one more thing about this. This motion picture was made on a budget of $140K. Okay? 1978. Same year Halloween came out. Halloween, famously for being one of the low-budget movies of all times that grossed so much money, this, that, and the other, was made for a little over $300,000. This movie cost less than half of what it cost to make John Carpenter's Halloween. I don't know how they made all those motorcycles. I don't know what the gasoline and pyro budget on this fucking motion picture was, because they used a shitload of it. But how you could take something like Halloween and bring it in at like 300 plus K, and then take something like this and bring it in for half the price, when literally all you are doing is watching shit get blown up, watching stuff that they had to make from scratch, like these motorcycles, watching all this shit and this mayhem, and you're like, how did they do it? Did everybody work for free? I don't even get it. I mean, something like Halloween was mostly a lot of location shots, a lot of actors that were, not at the highest spectrum. I mean, Pleasance made some cash on it, but nobody else really did. So you're looking at that and you're saying, Steadicam maybe? The film stock? Whatever what it was, the idea that they brought in this motion picture for under half the price of Halloween is amazing just in of itself for that. So, anyway, long story short, I gotta get out of here. Go out there and watch Deathsport, 1978. It's fun. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. But it gives you everything that you want from grindhouse, drive-in fodder of the day. You get action in glutton loads. You get a movie that moves along at an okay pace, decently. You have a story trying to tie it all together. That doesn't really work. But you got sword fights. You got nudity running all over the place. And you've got explosions every 14 goddamn seconds. So, for that, you got to give it... Oh, I almost did the thumbs up. That's almost trading in on somebody else's thing. Anyway, you got to give it a nod and say, check it out. All right, people, be good, take care, stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger, be there for a friend, and most of all, never, ever take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.